So why is monotony problematic?
Monotony in psychological way is affecting people, how the user as well as people who sometimes look at it. For an instance, if a driver is going through a road and he's on either side, he's seeing the same kind of buildings repeating. After a point, he loses his, like, he will be in that continuous path. He will be unaware of what is. So there was an experiment conducted by, I forgot the person's name. So he made the people to go through the city, taking them through the different walkways. So he started off with some greeneries and everything, and then he started to go through the Whole Food Mart in New York. So in that, the facade was same throughout. For a longer distance it was like that, and then after that they went to a neighborhood where there was so many stalls and there were so much happening. So he has also tied this kind of a watch in which you can identify whether this person is he bored or not, is he active or is he being subconsciously just moving. So it was observed that when it went through the facade of that Whole Foods Mart, it was found most of the people just wanted to go away, be somewhere where they could feel more livelier, because it was such a long stretch and it was very hard for the people to, after a point they just. So in that way, in psychological way, it is affecting. Other than that, when you take the example of
But just to interject, so if they were, you said after that long stretch they walked into some market where lot of things were happening. So imagine I was only walking through that market stretch where lot of things were happening for 2 hours. Then what do you think? If that market stretch was the only kind of urban experience.
For 2 hours,
The market stretch is the second part of the walk.
Yeah.
The more exciting part. There was a repetitive monotonous part and there was an exciting part. So my question is that if everything is exciting,
That
No,
that
that
is my
would not
second.
become monotonous, but it's a
That also becomes a bizarre
yeah, you
experience
would
after
want
a
some
point.
kind of
I think the
peaceful,
time in
yeah.
which it would become a bizarre experience would be longer for the market.
okay.
So
That
So maybe for a moment if we start discussing monotony not in architecture but generally in life, what would you say, how would you, or what would you call monotonous?
9 to 5 job.
Okay.
day and night, routine.
Day and night.
food, roti sabji every time.
But day and night, 9 to 5 job,
Day and night.
Day and night.
roti sabji.
No, what do you mean by day and night?
Monotonous is day and
Every
night.
day it's day.
Day and night, okay.
I said food. If you always
Food.
have, for example, roti sabji, so if you want something else,
Right. Like for example.
not canteen. I mean, they repeat sabjis like
5
every
days
day.
not candy, 1 day south candy.
Haan, sir.
No, like the masala is
No, so
like a guy's
but precisely, if you are saying 5 days North Canteen and 1 day South Canteen, my question of monotony is, do you require that 5 days of North Canteen for the South Canteen to feel South Canteen? Or could someone say that, so you are saying 5 days of North Canteen is monotonous and then 1 day of South Canteen?
In that case, the not candy more. When you
So if I do
outside-
5 days of South Canteen, then
Then
South
it is-
Canteen is
yeah,
monotonous.
yeah.
So are you arguing that anything in excessive quantity is monotonous?
No, but it depends on the variety. So on
Go ahead.
North canteen you have a lot of variety. So So even if you go to North Canteen, you can order different things.
But every day it becomes same. Every day is just Chinese samosa, every day is no changing and
Yeah, so even in the question of housing, my question, since you're talking of monotony, is monotony defined by the quality or the architectural characteristics of the building? Or is it purely defined by the fact that it is similar throughout?
So I understand it at two levels. One is at the unit level and
Right now, let's say we are talking at the urban level that all buildings are monotonous. Yeah, because it is, I mean, on the face of it, we seem to agree, but then when you are showing examples of Barcelona or New York, you are saying they have some character, but Barcelona block is the same block, same shape and same brick that is repeated. Somehow that is not monotonous.
The difference, the difference in the sameness makes it not monotonous.
Sorry, difference in this?
The blocks are repeated,
Huh.
but each block is different. But you
Slightly
know,
different.
So there is mystery involved, but you already know what kind of mystery that will be. Almost.
but then
So
your also I think each and every block is different. No?
each and every block that you have put up is slightly different.
I feel that, but it is the character.
It's an architectural
the
characteristic
typical quality.
or
No, I feel lack of identity makes it more.
But then how do you bring identity?
Referring lack of identity.
How do you bring identity?
what is
But-
identity?
But I don't know, I thought since you're doing on monotony or repetition, you would finally sort of, I mean, we have been having this discussion in the class that if we repeat the School of Architecture building 100 times, does it become monotonous or not? Or that Barcelona block you are saying, or New York. Now, interestingly, in your paper, you showed various different ways in which there is some sort of order, but some sort of variety. So, in this debate on order and variety, where would you place monotony? Excessive order is monotony, or meaningless variety is monotony? Because I could call this meaningless variety. This is not monotonous. He is calling that monotonous.
The first one.
It is monotonous, but it is not that variety. It is the same character.
It is not
The
the same.
character is same.
it lacks
Yeah.
character and identity, but it is not monotonous.
It is monotonous.
Wow, each and every building is different from each other.
But like because the unit you have like
I mean, if you just rework the openings of the buildings, it look different.
Like you did with that Mirador example.
Huh.
But you did this, no? For example, you took that South Bhopal and you made it exposed brick, cotton, steel, etc., etc. What do you feel after doing that?
So if it's repeated like in the entire South Group or the entire Ahmedabad, it will become monotonous, it will become boring.
Uh,
It won't be that exciting. If it's repeated at a particular scale, then
You're saying if one street was entirely
one street or a particular time period in which the buildings are constructed are made out of that material, and it brings coherence. What Basil was talking about that at the urban scale, there is no coherence. But if coherence of a particular type is there, then it will be exciting, and thus you won't feel the monotony. It won't be the boring monotony.
this is boring.
Not if it's
So the original
original, yes.
is boring or not?
Because everywhere you walk, it's just the same thing. Right?
But one question is
हाँ.
there. खाली cotton steel use कर देते हैं, तो उन्होंने
हाँ.
change कर दिया.
मॉडल रखो ये बैग ले जाओ एक बैग
But right now, only in South
That's-
people we have seen. Right now in South the first collage that we have is the one that is there habitually.
Yes.
Reality.
Yes.
But that facade or that sort of buildings are not there in normal blogging. You don't see that. So what I'm saying is whatever you are proposing is just for that area. So obviously South Bhopal is also with some character of this.
So low character is also a character. But then I'm saying that boardingness or very banal housing everywhere exists in India. But you see the root of that you see in South Bhopal. So it's just new. You don't see any extra addition to it. Whereas in other parts of India you see the aging process. You see the
Right.
other elements that are added afterwards. So you don't know the what causes it.
Newness is the motive.
No, the
But after 20 years,
What are you defining?
Yeah, maybe with time it will
It
become.
will become just another part of Anwar. I mean, I have shown monotony through South.
No, so I think in this particular case, it is also getting mixed up with questions of identity, right? The New York, Barcelona example you gave, or even Jodhpur, you are talking about the identity of the city. You can identify that it is New York. Whether it is monotonous or not is a slightly related but different question. So here are we discussing monotony or identity? We'll discuss both one after the other, but I think we should also split the two.
If we see the original and the what he has done has a character. And when we look at the first building and then we look at the second building, there is something that we can compare to. So that makes it a little bit more interesting.
no, it's just very new clothes. I'll tell you. Because it's like brick, it's brand, but it's jagger. But what I'm saying
No.
is it's
I
same.
said for the brick, if you look at different buildings, the openings are different, this thing is different. So, but there is something that relates back, that is the brick. So when a person looks from one building to the other, he's like seeing and comparing it with the other, and that process is constantly engaging the user to, with the building in a way. Please imagine that would only happen with brick, even if it's like, anything.
Yeah, so the point is not that this is the solution. The point is that maybe using this, there might be other solutions that might be possible. So I'm not saying that brick is the most appropriate method of solving the monotony, but the idea of using brick in a particular way might solve this idea. This question.
इस पेपर जो जोधपुर का जो फोटो था ना, हाँ, तो ये जोधपुर का जो फोटो है, why is it monotonous or is it not?
It is not.
It is. No, the way the picture is split, it's right.
हाँ,
Because if you are standing on the street, you won't feel that it's like
It's not monotonous.
But
it's
I'm
like
saying
adding
monotony is
some
a
layer.
layer.
Because there's a coherence but not a monotonous.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's not monotonous.
which is why I'm going back to what you were asking when you said order and variety. So monotony is a manifestation of limitless order, or is it a manifestation of meaningless variety? If I call this meaningless variety, because that's what is happening in housing, or even commercial buildings, everyone wants to do something different, but the net result is that no one is different. So is that
For me, it is limitless order.
limitless order makes it monotonous? So this would not be
If
monotonous.
at an urban scale, if you see an individual block,
Yeah. We are not talking of individual building, we are talking of the street.
Yeah.
So you are saying that because it is not exactly identical, it is not monotonous.
Yeah.
But the others are arguing that it is monotonous.
But when you say monotonous, are you saying that in a negative way or in a positive way?
Baap re.
Low option.
हाँ.
Limitless order. Yeah.
Meaningless variety. are you, when you put that order and variety, were you trying to imply that some degree of order with some degree of variety is what could lead to non-monotonous? Or were you trying to say that less order and more variety would lead to non-monotonous?
So ideally is balance of both of them, but in case of Agora, there is FSR variety, and that's why I'm stressing more on the fact that more order is needed.
Okay. So you're saying for you in that South Opal image there is
endless variation.
endless variation
Within a,
That is a
without any ordering principle. So you are saying कि for in all these explorations except for the last one where कि facade का material change
because
कर.
visually that's what when you are walking the city, that's what you see.
नहीं, I could, since you did the झरोखा thing, I could say कि सबके टेरेस पे छतरी होना चाहिए या सबका 5th floor जो है वो white color होना चाहिए. सभी हो सकता है. Something. You are saying some order across buildings is required. That will give it more, will make it less monotonous. No, I think just as an exercise, since you did that, na, एक तो my suggestion is कि why don't you get an actual street perspective? इसमें क्या हो रहा है? Because the perspectives are different. As a viewer, I am not able to accurately position myself or imagine this as a real experience. So it is it's playing a lot of games with the eye. हर एक बिल्डिंग का वैनिशिंग पॉइंट अलग है, तो आई कैन एक्सपीरियंस द स्पेस. सो इफ इट वाज अ हाँ अभी तो स्ट्रीट व्यू है, तो यू कैन डू इट. सो एक्चुअली एक स्ट्रीट व्यू को लेके उसमें
in this area it is not.
नहीं साउथ को स्ट्रीट ऊपर है अभी शीलाज में है. So if you can do the same thing in a street view, even if it is one side or something, where you pick up buildings and you say कि 5th floor will be white or whatever kind of order you want. Because you are saying that some sort of order or similarity between what do you do? Order will make it non-monotonous. Right now there is too little order.
That was actually my question at the end of it.
Yes. Oh, so you refuse to answer because you asked the question.
It is the audience to
Huh?
interpret. It's to the audience.
Okay, we are discussing his paper, so you are the audience. No, it is strange because on one hand, one might argue that more variety is required. That essentially they are all similar, multi-story building with similar sized openings. But you are saying that is what is making it monotonous. But you did it with different buildings. You were trying out with the Mirador and so what did that? Yeah, can you go to her presentation? What do you think of this? So you made this collage of all non-monotonous housing examples. Imagine the whole city was like this. What is your take on it?
It is like the limitless variety.
Yeah.
Okay. No, so it is making it better or worse or what?
Maybe agency.
Huh?
There is no
Yeah.
It would be
Yeah.
agency.
Yeah.
Like everything is so overwhelming to you. Because I mean everything is different there.
Yes,
Now-
everything is different.
Also, sense of context this can be anywhere. So
Yeah,
this
it can be
variation-
anywhere. It can be anywhere.
If
But-
it's only one out of, like, if everything is different, then what do you look at? But if
Yeah.
one if it's 10th or 10.
Yeah, which is why we come back to the original question. So is monotony defined by the quality of the individual block or by the aspect of the type of repetition? That I can take Mirador, and if an entire city was only Miradors, or I could take Habitat 67 and I make an entire city out of Habitat 67. All buildings are Habitat
That
67.
is monotony.
Will be monotonous.
Somehow there is a other character coming into play.
Yeah, question of character.
So like even if Mirador is repeated, because there is some kind of
So you're saying repeating Mirador is still better than repeating this building? Huh? Why not?
yeah, it is a lab.
Oh, this one if they repeat it is okay.
The Ricardo Boque.
With different colors.
Not because of the form, because of the way it is. It's not, even though I think in plan it is, I don't think this is true, but in some way there is some order, but because of the way the form is, it doesn't look
Yeah.
like there is an order. So even if it is repeated, that's still, there is some variation. But that variation through repetition.
No, so should we just let go of the discussion of monotony and only talk of character then? If you are saying that it's not so much that it's monotonous. So is your critique when you talk of South Bhopal, is it primarily that it is monotonous or characterless?
Character yes.
Hmm.
And some parameters monotonous also.
So you're saying both are the problem. Characterless and
Says that,
Huh?
he says that if it is repeated in some small,
Scale.
some scale it's fine. But then beyond that, if it repeats, then it becomes.
So again, balance of order and
But then it becomes what scale, which element.
that's what Gujarat government has to do.
No, so then, like, the regulations that Paris has. So that is not monotonous. Because we have that.
yeah, urban design guidelines.
Yeah.
Everything.
Bhutan
Like,
also
one
has.
particular height.
Bhutan
The
is
Nepal
the
has
facade of
moved
the
out to
building.
big, put that red bricks on the side, not other color facades you have.
No, are you fine with it being monotonous if it has character? Because the Barcelona example you seem to give is in a sense fairly monotonous. The block shape and the color, everything is same. But yeah, but we'll have to look at again a street view or a view. But it is monotonous. But you are right, no two blocks are actually fully identical. There is in that sense variation.
I think there is also this question of we're saying Barcelona block is monotonous by the definition of like what we're trying to define monotony by repetition. But it's also like when you are there, if you perceive it as monotonous, that's what I think he's also saying, that when you're there, you don't perceive it as monotonous because it has a certain character.
Street view shows also.
Yeah, some blocks are very different.
But you also talking about monotony at a scale that we very experiential. This is more from a picture that we're talking, like Evan told for Jaisalmer. Will we ever experience it in that manner unless we go to the fort? Or while walking on the streets, as everyone is saying, we only experience like the first glance, the material or.
Yeah.
So is this monotony really experienced? Or are we just
Which monotony?
The block
the block layout?
No, definitely not. So that's why the aerial image, we should not go by the aerial view, right? Bird's eye. That doesn't tell us much. We'll have to go by this
cross, it's the same level of ceiling, and it will also maintain.
Yeah, so Barcelona also has some urban design guidelines. So
Yeah.
if you notice the floor levels and all, they have to
It's the same.
match. But there is no regulation on the color, or there is no regulation on other things. Of course, the building age regulation is very clear. That is sacrosanct. You cannot go in or come out. That is the order. And the variety is that all blocks are different. It is not this. It's not that all are exposed brick or all are of a kind. So New York also to some extent is like that. It's the setback regulations in the plot or the block or the lot as they call it, the New York lot, and the margin rules of the New York lot which are sacrosanct. Or are we just saying that we don't find this monotonous because of nostalgia and age? Because someone also said that it's because it is new that it's all new right now in some people. Or is it that just because we know it's Europe and it's Barcelona, we have a bias towards it, saying that it is nice? And because that is Ahmedabad, we are saying
Maybe we can ask people who are residing there.
in Barcelona.
They say Ahmedabad mein to there is this difference.
Maybe for old city, but
Yeah, not good, yeah.
But that's
So
another
because of
discussion.
character.
That's the old city is another discussion we had, no? So why don't we call the old city monotony?
I think it's the same discussion. Where this
Yeah.
comes from is the same thing.
Yes, yes.
And like how vernacular housing in general, we don't call vernacular.
We don't call it monotony. Yes.
I think it's character based on it. Like the kind
So
of
how do you
element.
get character?
Through
Or how do you
personalization.
get characterless? Huh?
Through personalization. So in old city, the house that people reside in, they paint it differently, or they have different torrents or different wood members, which
So
are
architectural
So,
elements.
so now interestingly, that's exactly opposite of what he did.
Yes, this is pura.
हाँ, उसने सारे बिल्डिंग में एक ही कर दिया. You are saying कि उसको हर एक यूनिट if they start making their own paint and their own jharoka, and in one image I have one cotton steel, one blue paint, and so on. You are saying it will be more
In,
But in this
character.
in vernacular, there is like a climatic response. But over here, it's like the same block can be found like in any of the cities, like.
So then the question
Okay.
is,
What's the concept?
So that is like the character is probably there because of the climatic
Take
response.
me. So old houses are facing any and all orientation, and they have a otla and a jharoka. So why do we call it climatic response when the pole houses is doing it for any orientation, and not call it climatic response when apartment is doing for all orientation? Pole houses are not in a grade all north facing or south facing. So can you have the same jharoka or the same depth of otla irrespective of north facing or east
But if
facing?
you isolate in pole house, then it will be a problem.
Sorry?
If you isolate a single pole house, then it will be a problem.
No, my question is all the pole house fronts. If the street is north facing versus east facing, shouldn't the depth of the chhajja change? और नॉर्थ फेसिंग स्ट्रीट है तो ओटला या सन प्रोटेक्शन चाहिए क्यों निकाल दो ना उसको. साउथ फेसिंग है तो यू कीप अ ओटला और अ वरांडा. नॉर्थ फेसिंग, दैट्स व्हाट वी विल से व्हेन वी डिजाइन एन अपार्टमेंट. So how do you say pole house is climatic response if it is not orientation
So
specific?
on a block level, it's pretty dense. I mean,
हाँ,
denser
block
than
level, हाँ.
this. So because of that, there is internal shading between the pole houses, and because of that, I think the direction utna doesn't matter.
There will be some streets which are more cooler compared to a south
Yeah.
facing street.
Yes.
So what difference to it will come only.
Maybe the identity thing came later, and then people just thinking. Then people started customizing or like making the jharoka particular way because they wanted their house.
No, see, this came up because you were relating character to that it has some meaning. In the vernacular, giving an example of vernacular housing, you are saying that because it has meaning, and one of the meanings is emerging from climate response. What I find fascinating across all medieval towns or historic towns, whether it is or even modern towns like Barcelona, but definitely old Barcelona or old any European town, is that they don't give a damn about orientation. Whether it is Amsterdam or whether it is Jaisalmer or whether it is. So character is not coming from any climate response.
But to that, at least to that region, that is like a character. But over
Okay.
here,
So
it's
so
not-
if I put a continuous chhajja on all orientations of this apartment block, it will get character.
No.
Why
Like-
not? I take the pole elevation और उसको मैं चिपका देता हूँ apartment.
Can we say it has to do with the way we perceive it? Because as he's saying, the polar are very dense.
Huh?
You see it only in a certain way.
Yes.
So as you experience it, you feel that variation, but you see because there's also some sense of
Yes.
sameness.
Yes.
While when you perceive these buildings, they have a greater depth to see. And thus, like if you see a slum habitation project, they do appropriate the houses. Okay, सबके facade different होते हैं, but that is not character, right? Like,
So are you then suggesting that character can only be achieved at a certain scale?
Yeah.
Beyond a certain scale, it's difficult to get character.
Then it becomes to that region. So then,
We had this discussion last time.
Can I,
The fact that when the scale height, when the height increases, it becomes more and more difficult to bring that character.
So you're saying height is a problem when it comes to character. Ah, New York, you have. Yeah.
there is what Navjita touched upon, that if character comes with certain amount of meaning in it. So even if there is a chhajja in Old City which is facing north, because of the context there is certain meaning associated to that chhajja, which makes it have a character. And if you put like chhajja all around the four sides, it doesn't have a meaning necessarily. It doesn't solve the climatic purpose and doesn't relate to the context. So in the same way, if there is no meaning which vernacular
Then
has,
it won't have character, you're saying.
So that there's no way to bring character in
No, it can be.
no,
a-
you
So
can
I
bring
recently
meaning
shifted from a house to
If
an
it's
apartment like
just
very
social
recently.
situation.
And what I understood is when you're in a street or in a house, what makes it not monotonous is how the exterior of any building is being used by the people. But when it comes to maybe an apartment, how my mom complains, like, she can't literally, there is a balcony, but more than that, there's nothing else. She's very it is very restrictive for her to actually,
Yeah.
apart from a certain depth, you can't do anything else. So is monotonous something related to that restriction that it offers in the facades of the building in terms of usability?
But that comes from the usability of the unit, what she is telling. Not the facade. The unit is designed such that
But then eventually every other person ka facade or that whatever is in the exterior, like everybody would use an exterior of a house very differently. But if it is in terms of a apartment size, unit level inside spaces, at least it can be customized. But yeah, outside you can't do anything else maybe beyond hanging of clothes and just going out and reading and coming back. So I was just wondering
she's
that.
saying maybe ties with the integrated spaces, that sort of thing. She's considering the balcony to be the dead end, but that's a different
But
topic.
in this image also, now in Amsterdam, it's not one house, right? Every floor is a house. So it is a G+3 or G+4 apartment complex. So this is monotonous because people on top cannot come out. They can only come in the balcony. No, it's good we are having, because it's only when we discuss like this, we all of us propose something, then we go into detail of it, we realize, okay, maybe this part, maybe not this part.
When we're looking monotonicity, it's like you have certain set of people or certain set of families, right?
Yeah.
It's collectively we are looking. So I was looking at the sense that collectively also and individually also you are very restrictive in terms of that.
No, so this is monotonous according to me. Because if I am living on the second floor of this apartment, I will feel boxed in. I can't go out.
So are we saying this is not monotonous just because of nostalgia?
Yeah, even I don't know.
But what do you
There is
think,
a
guys? Is this
character to
monotonous
it.
or not?
I don't know, is this monotonous or not? Huh?
For example, whole house.
Is this monotonous?
Is this monotonous?
In terms of experience, it is not, because every 4 or 5 meters you can
I think
change in the experience.
In terms of experience, it's
So
interesting.
not
This
monotonous.
was saying this is the balance of order and
Order and chaos. Good man. There is height restriction, but the way elevation has been articulated, there is a lot of variation.
Right.
Different floors.
But I feel it is monotonous. Because the facade has the same rectangular. It's,
Yes.
You can make a grid out of the entire rectangle. Like it looks monotonous.
I mean, somewhere they'll have to control to keep the order also in place. Then we
So
say it
for
is
you, this is
endless
monotonous with character or?
Yeah, but monotonous with character.
But
Yeah, it is getting complicated.
Yeah,
No,
actually.
No, but the more examples, I mean, if we start seeing and start discussing what do you feel about it, and start going into the detail of is it a window, is it the fact that all of them are on the same line, or is it that after every 4 meters something changes? Is that making it?
The scale is broken down at every level.
Yeah.
So in a way that is interesting the monotony.
So we should, I think this kind of like both of you who were studying monotony, you try to make modifications in a street view. I think that you should take this study further. Right now you have just done basic, everything blue or everything brick. But what if I say that I will vertically, if you are saying in this what makes it non-monotonous is that after every 4 meters at least something changes. Now this is very different from Barcelona because the urban or the regulations force you to build up to the edge and from wall to wall, but there is no regulating line. So you will see that windows are going up and down. They are not exactly
This is
in line.
actually Amsterdam.
This is Amsterdam.
that's what, on the right hand side you see windows which are up and down. In Barcelona you won't see that.
Acha,
So
Barcelona.
if this is monotonous, then even that is.
No, but sir is asking that only. Is this monotonous?
So
No,
this
if
is
you-
monotonous
if-
with character, kind of.
If you find this monotonous, definitely you will.
I'm saying the reason why, see, I'm kind of not even fully agreeing to it being monotonous, but I'm saying that say if this thing was, it's only say 4-5 stories. If it was 10 stories or above, then we would call it, this same thing we would call
Yeah,
it
so
monotonous.
Oh, New York.
Increases.
New York follow. New York वो भी मैनहट्टन नहीं है। हाँ ऐसा कुछ। ब्रुकलिन या ऐसा कुछ। तो 4 स्टोरी नहीं
You want to see
सेंट्रल पार्क के ऊपर कौन ना आई वांट टू सी 10 स्टोरी विद ब्रेक बहुत एक्चुअली हाँ
सारा साइड तो व्यू है। वो ब्रिक का है चश्मा नहीं। shadow हो गया।
Huh? Yeah, this is monotony. At a unit level, you at a single project level, you are saying. No, okay. Can you get out that terrain with Chalpan? Then I'll tell you which street to do. Exit the street view. Satellite.
Times Square को क्या बोलेंगे? New York Times. Is it monotonous or is it characteristic?
हाँ बस वहाँ zoom in कर. और ऊपर. हाँ maybe one. नीचे. Used to be, no, I think it's just south of the central park. So everywhere where those lots have been consolidated, the character of New York has changed considerably. Anyways, I think we should maybe I'll search for it. I have some images saved, so I will just search the concept. But a lot of New York is this 10 story, 12 story brick facing kind of thing, which you can already see in this that a lot of it is now demolished. They are, yeah, otherwise, हाँ वो जहाँ तेरा cursor है वो building street view पे जा. A lot of original New York was
Friends में.
Yeah.
this kind of thing. All buildings would not be exactly like this, but something like this. Now, definitely, this is not like Barcelona or Amsterdam, right? But this is also, a lot of these buildings are late 18th century, definitely 19th century. That is 1880, 1890. So they have history, they have a long history.
This is not.
This is monotonous according to me.
Urban level. We have not yet gone to building level, whether the individual building is monotonous.
I think monotony sort of relates to the ease of identification of patterns and rhythms. If you are able to quickly identify a pattern or rhythm, then I think you come to a conclusion of calling it monotony. But then what about order? The order of it.
Now how about this view?
नहीं, there is
हाँ,
a
yes,
view.
yes.
All the buildings look the same. But
Something
something
in
is
the Amsterdam का streets भी है.
See,
This
The
is
rhythm,
not-
the pattern was not immediately accompanied. Even though
I say there was
there was building height का pattern, but the order, some different heights.
All of these were built at the same time period or was it?
Same as in within 60, 70 years of each other. For the city, it is not
Yeah.
a big
But
time.
maybe that's why like the global, all the development one felt like it was monotonous because it's all
It's-
new, it's all looks similar.
It's all built at the same time.
Yeah, maybe. In this case, because it even looks like there is some aging as it goes down the street.
Yes, yes.
Because of which it doesn't feel.
So that is also a valid argument. That is what Jane Jacobs says when she makes the argument of death and life of great American cities, that if entire cities are built at the same time, or if entire parts of the city are built at the same time, it's problematic. She vehemently argues that every street should have a right mix of very old and new buildings. At no point in time make everything old or make everything new, because both are problematic. Variety. What could you do? Did you come across any examples which you thought have done it at a building level? Now I am moving to a building level. Because eventually you are not designing the city, you are designing the individual building in the city. Huh? Udayan. Okay. Huh?
Also in all of my like the Mirador, those examples, that's how that where the ways how one could tackle monotony. So in Mirador, giving different types of offerings.
Right.
Maybe in the facade itself, like splitting it into 9 divisions. So variations in the offerings, giving a slider kind of a thing. It all breaks up the mass.
So based on what you had studied, so you have a sort of a list of things that you could do probably? Can you go to her presentation? So you're saying color, projection, size of opening,
In terms of facade.
which was the Mirador project. And for circulation you picked up. Yeah.
Balcony location also.
And floor plates and massing was
The interlace.
interlace, because the entire blocks are. Hmm.
How the massing could be rather than fully vertical.
So can you put the Mirador over a slide? So you are saying even in this, even though the block itself is pure cuboid, it's the color and the opening size difference that makes it normal.
When you take one portion of the
Huh?
and spin that gel. Once it's from a
What
monotonous
gel?
building, it's from
Ah.
a monotonous building.
Why is it not working in
Yes.
this shape?
So from a monotonous building, when you change the openings and when you give it the divisions, you
Yeah.
change the
So,
color.
go back to the first of these GIF. What I would find fascinating, go to the next one. You change the
How did this come
what?
from this?
The size of the openings are changed.
No, this is the real.
Yeah.
She's saying that if Mirador was designed like this, it would have been monotonous, and because it has been this, what I was getting at was, I would love to see that right now there are these different parts of the facade within which there is monotony. What if I do the other way around, that if each of those small rectangles has all windows? Each of these rectangles right now has only one kind of facade. As in the windows are repeated within the rectangle. I am saying within the rectangle, I find all variations of window sizes. You get what I am saying? So that one rectangle has that window also, this window also, this window also. But then all rectangles are exactly that.
No.
Meaningless area.
It will be limitless area.
So I want to understand whether that makes it more monotonous. It is the first part of this GIF is obvious that the before this slide. Can you go back? One more. Obviously, everyone will say this is monotonous. I want to know that if I make lot of variations within a panel but repeat that panel, is it also monotonous? It won't be monotonous. करके देखना पड़ेगा.
There will be an order at certain level that is going to repeat.
I mean, think of the kind of jali
component itself has so many variations कि वो order fill out करने में time.
No, but the scale at which that we are looking at would be the rep. So it also depends on the scale that is looking.
But
if
what-
if this building was double of itself, then it's easier.
No, but what I like about it is ये करके देखते हैं तो ये समझ में आता है ना. Like this theoretically we could keep discussing कि ऐसा copy paste किया तो क्या होता. It's very easy to do it and check because that will actually give us clues that when we are sitting down to design and when we have to design the openings, how will you go about it? Will it be limitless variation or will it be variation with some ordering? The Mirador has some ordering.
So what you asked and Yashodhan was telling that's monotonous, right? One rectangle you take all different types of windows and then repeat it. Because why is it monotonous?
So when you are repeating that, like everything will be, there is no order in the repetition. You are just putting each and
There
every
is too
variation.
much noise.
Yeah, it's too much noise.
Too much noise is not monotonous.
It is monotonous.
It's not monotonous but not pleasing.
Not pleasing, agreed, but it is not monotonous.
It's not pleasing, but it's not monotonous.
It is
It's not pleasing, but it is not monotonous. Okay.
You might not like it,
Huh.
but it won't bore you.
So then each and every Indian city is not monotonous because each and every Indian you have different clothes and the facade is treated very differently by the occupants. You have some place you have different kind of plants growing. So it's not monotonous. Then why are we even questioning that we need a different kind of approach?
No, so definitely we should do this and see to be able to know further about what is it that makes it monotonous or not. I think as an experiment, taking this Mirador or particular place and do just checking is a good. So we should vary the parameters very in a premeditated sense. Within a unit or within a section we modify and see and then check.
So that is something that I also think that if you see and if you only come to know that when you see it. Otherwise, there is no reference on something where you can break down or you can bring character. There is no reference for that. You can see and then create your own.
Just one other thought I had was that can monotony be addressed with just the skin? So for a moment, if I imagine that all these projects in South Bhopal, they are not doing anything in that 60 centimeter architectural projection, and you were hired. Your job is to only put that 60 centimeter skin around the building in such a way that it gives character and kills the monotony. Will you be able to do it? Yes? So you should do it and try, no? Yeah, it's like facade. पर I don't think उसने झरोका डाला है. Last वाला ने सब में झरोका. हाँ वो पूरे में झरोका डाला. No, then I don't know. In some projects, you could even then go and say कि देखो ऐसा तुम कर सकते हो. With the 60 centimeter skin redesign.
That exercise is endless. Like you don't know how to stop. You can do anything.
You
with that.
stop the moment you feel that हाँ we नहीं तब तक के लिए वेट नहीं करना है, ज़्यादा ऊपर तक क्यों करना है? The moment you feel that no, it is now not monotonous, you stop. But it is worth finding out, because then if monotony is only skin deep, that means it's a skin issue, surface issue. Huh, we have not yet gone to monotony at unit discussion, which is what you are talking about. So I think that's the other end of monotony, where we are talking about monotony within the unit. Now, which is a very different. So when we talk of monotony at the city or block level, it is primarily about seeing the whole facade as an element and finding it both. When we talk of monotony at unit level, when you are talking of monotony at unit level, actually it's not a vision problem or sight problem, because no one is looking at the plan of the building. You are only experiencing space by space, and space by space walls it's a contentious point, but I don't know whether to call the fact that everything is a wall monotonous or not, but it is a wall. But it's not this kind of monotony problem. You are saying the problem is more of
time.
no, one is huh?
There's one building in Ramdev Nagar.
Ramdev Nagar.
There's one building recent, I like 6-8 years back, I think it got built,
Huh.
where you realize the building and the footprint is planned to be the same, and each window or each sort of floor is treated in a different style or different way, break monotony. In order to what,
Yeah.
like when you said that if the projection is treated, like if something is being that way, just as the whole building had an agenda to pitch that you are different, and I'm selling
Yes.
I'm selling you is something which the other person doesn't have. The person above versus person.
Yes.
You are
Yes.
very unique. It's sort
Yeah.
of that-
Everyone is unique. Bungalow in the sky.
So, and then that's eventually done that way. I forgot the name.
This one, no?
But it's done by.
This one. It's near Mocha.
Oh yeah.
इधर बोल
project
Starbucks, Mocha.
I think next to Mocha. There's one more. There's also one residential building.
Yeah, this one is not. Is that one residential?
No, this is not commercial. It's like an office company. It's next to courtyard.
Street light was made. Yeah, this one.
I've seen.
It's a commercial.
It's a commercial.
Each one is 2 floors. 2 or 3 floors, is it?
There's one more on similar lens in CG Road. I'm not sure about it.
But definitely, I mean, one might like or not like the styles that are used in this, but definitely it seems like what, 8-story, 9-story building?
Yeah, it is. This time, they are allowed to build up to 12 floors. They've meant.
Must be 9 or 10 looks like.
Heights, like the first 2 floors are having slightly more height, and then all the floors are not exact. There's some.
But so it doesn't look like a 8-9 story building because of I mean, if you look at all postmodernists, if you look at Philip Johnson and what he did at AT&T building, or their whole sort of dialogue about what to do with a high-rise tower, the fact
like
that
smaller buildings stacked.
yeah, so their argument was that it should look like three-story buildings stacked on each other. That will break the monotony or the tyranny of repetition. So he has gone whole hog and also put ekdam kuch European movie sloping roof on top.
That is the problem.
There are columns on the right side.
Attempts में
High columns on
प्रॉब्लम इसीलिए है कि हम एक स्ट्रॉन्ग मॉडर्निस्ट स्कूल में बैठे we have been trained to say that this is quiche, right? This is like अलग-अलग styles को mix कर दिया. All our education in history has gone for a toss in this building. I mean, how can you do this? But look at उसके बाजू वाला बिल्डिंग. अभी मुझे बताओ दोनों में से ज्यादा अच्छा कौन सा लगता है? हाँ? Yes, of course there are issues. There will be issues on both sides. Huh?
Since the other one is next to it, this seems like an interesting building.
Oh, this seems like an interesting game.
That's
surprising.
It's like not interesting.
I am liking this.
You
No,
like
I
all
like the
those?
other one right now. Imagine if you were living over here, it would be so boring with that.
At least character.
Out
Yeah.
of those two, you have to choose one.
Yes, but
Right? No,
No,
tell no. Like, and that one.
I like that one better than this.
That one is almost like because there is this European thing that people will like, so they get.
So this is better, no, but minimal, elegant.
रसिक तुझे दोनों में प्रॉपर्टी मिल रही है तुझे दोनों
हाँ,
में प्रॉपर्टी मिल रही है तो
Because
इसलिए
one is saying that meaningless variation versus
हाँ.
justified monotony versus. I mean, if
Yeah.
we are just
Yeah.
mixing up all that terms which
Yes.
all are using, in that sense it's also if you go there at night,
हाँ.
that's also very, especially when there are movies. Like if you are there somewhere around passing by around like 1:30,
हाँ.
it's very different sense of place there. I mean, and then
This you're talking
the
about.
same the beauty of this place is because this is there, this is done by Popular, and the other guy,
हाँ.
and because they are next to each other, and then it actually triggers you to mix up all these words.
Yeah.
In a way, or to question also. That's
Yeah, one could argue that next door building is meaningless variation.
yeah, it is actually. Like if you say
No, it is meaningless variation.
the person who was designing it was forced to do, like that person doesn't want to do it or she doesn't want to do it, and then the problem is that it must be different and it has to
Yeah, definitely. It looks like
push me.
Pinterest from 2-3 European cities ka Pinterest combined
When you
together.
participate, it actually is a pleasant experience to see this in the
Right.
entire context.
No, so coming back to the, you're saying monotony within a unit is all about long-term flexibility, they're wanting to change. Then buy a new house.
But that is not affordable. If you want an additional room,
Huh.
that the cost of making that room versus cost of buying a new house will be.
More you're saying. I sell the old house and buy it.
But then.
No, neighborhood also.
You attach memories.
Yeah.
Attached memories. Okay. No, so is it, but what you were talking of flexibility is not only for long term, one is about over a period of time, like you're saying, but the other is also within the same building, right at the outset, there might be a one person family and a person family buying in the same apartment. That internal wall flexibility allows each of those also to modify it differently.
Yeah.
So are you then
it has urban scale issue.
No, facade, that is why even in supports and infill, the facade is pre-designed. It's like, if you look at commercial buildings, one with larger floor plates which are sold, not the chota gala wala. That is what builders do, no? They make the facade, they make the lift and the core and the toilets, and it's sold as a floor plate. Every office buys a floor and they do their own interior in it. The architect is not designing the offices. So when it comes to commercial, it is exactly being done like the way you are proposing, that you just give them an empty flat. It will have a facade, it will not have flooring, no internal walls.
If there is an addition on the external.
No, right now I am not talking of addition. I am talking of the first case where you are building an apartment scheme and you are selling it, and there is a 4-person family buying a unit and there is a 2-person family buying a unit, or there are 6-person family buying a unit. Anyways, we already discussed that at least in the higher end houses, people demolish the entire interior and redo the interior. So then the question is, why not sell it like a commercial building floor plate? That, of course, the architect will have to design many possible room layouts to make sure that all of them are possible. But why not sell an unfinished house with just an entrance door, the external wall, and plumbing and electrical? Is that what you're? Would that be closer to Habrakan support? That is what they do in support.
Yes.
If you look at the next 21 project, it's like that. The floor plate is sold.
And all units are built by different architects.
All units are built.
And only one of them have just like sold it. Only one of them was bold, basically.
One of them was?
One family that X21 was bold, so they've moved out. There's all of them are staying.
All of them are staying, right?
What if instead of like saying that, selling the floor plate, it was like this much volume instead?
Yes.
Also that.
Yeah, fair enough. You sell the volume or the floor plate. So why do you think that is not prevalent?
Isn't it even a responsibility as architects to actually make something like you see that different needs for 2 people and 4 people, but do the people really want their needs like?
No, so people then have to hire an interior designer or architect to build their house.
There is an architect at a building level and an architect at the unit level.
That is what Habrakan proposes in support and infill, that there is a supports architect and there is an infill architect or interior designer. Right now also, most people, they buy an apartment, they remove the flooring, all the internal partitions, and they redo the apartment. So they are not doing it themselves, they have to hire an architect or interior designer.
So rather than doing 2 different architects or something, the same person does the support and then he proposes ideas of various ways that space will be utilized.
Yeah, so that is
Yes.
also a method. You can provide a catalog of possible variations.
So that is what total environment does, for example, that they design the building also, and then total environment in at least their high-end apartments, they will say that okay, this is the space you get, and they'll have a catalog. But yes, of course, even if you don't give a catalog, even in this next 21, before deciding the shape and size of the overall unit, the architect has to, the main architect, has to do 10 plans, 15 plans to arrive at the outer shape of an apartment, right? Because sometimes if your outer shape is not, like in all these 550 plans you traced, if I were to ask you to redesign the internal apartments, in some apartments it will be possible to make new plans, unit plans. In some apartments it won't be possible because of the peculiar outer shape of the block. So that also is a task which the architect will have to do. But you are right, the main architect can also propose and also build also, like we were looking at Udayan project. Udayan project is an example where the architect is proposing the options but also building the options and giving. That is the next level. So technically we say that that is variation and not flexibility.
With flexibility will not be there. Or
With flexibility can come variation, is what Habrakan would say, that it's not necessary. So Udayan is variation without flexibility.
it is a flexibility in some way because there are multiple units that you can select from.
That doesn't change.
That is there even in Gopal. You can choose between different developers in different unit types there.
The unit doesn't change.
So at least normally when in housing, when we talk of flexibility, it is where you can, well, purely technically speaking, you can change it and rechange it back. One time change is not flexibility. I mean, that's the English meaning of the word flexible, right? It comes back to its original state when you want. But yeah, total environment does a lot of, so they have their catalogs and
So if we want to achieve variety, flexibility becomes a medium to cater.
yes, you can use flexibility to achieve variation if you want. This is total environment. So these are of course their different projects, right? What you have. Oh, it says 17 unique homes available across different locations.
I think
It's
it's
a
a
unit only.
Yeah. Now, so total environment uses a kit of parts approach. They will do the house only after you purchase it. As in the building is done, it's almost as if classically what happens, you buy an apartment, you hire an interior designer or a young architect and knock down the whole thing and redo it.
Or there's also this concept of taking a naked flat, as we say.
That's what but that is not, I've not seen it very popular. The builder giving a completely naked flat. No flooring, no internal walls.
It happens provided the person makes a request in prior. The person
Yes.
buying it makes a request in prior.
Yeah, and the rates
But
are
the
much
thing
cheaper
is,
in bracket, so
you have to show
when
the
you-
internal walls and all to get a OC 70.
BU permit.
BU permit के लिए internal walls.
For apartment,
It's
Yeah.
also cheaper if you buy a naked flat. In that sense, in Bombay, like if you ask, let's say, you demand it prior to the construction.
That you don't, yeah.
You don't pay for the construction part of those walls. Because you're anyway going to break it. Most of them do break it.
Most of them do break it. Yes.
But then actually not everybody would prefer that. Like children
So that is the
That's the
argument.
discussion.
Yeah, then why not adapt that model also?
Yeah, if everyone is asking for that, then it will make sense to just
Make that
sell
standard.
naked flats. No flooring, no walls, internal walls. But that still, the architect will still have to imagine multiple floor plan layouts or unit layouts in order to arrive at that naked flat. So in a way it is additional work.
Yeah, for that.
Because instead of just making one layout, you are making a shape which will accommodate 4 layouts or 5 layouts. All with light and ventilation.
But it's just architect's job. Construction wise, it's not a big deal.
Yeah. Well, for construction management, sometimes it's an issue. I mean, if you're saying all flats are naked, then it's not an issue. But if you're saying that some flats are naked and some are not, or some builders also allow you to choose your own tiles if you have purchased the flat in advance, for the construction management it's an issue. Issue as in the
Special attention.
special attention has to be given कि ये apartment में ये tiles डालना है. And then of course quantities of your tiling or whatever and the rate you get based on quantities, all that will also matter, although it's not a big deal. Should we move on?
Even in apartments, people make like it's being done is different nature of panels. Within apartments, the apartments, nature of panels, which in terms of feel and in terms of character, it is different. In terms of cost also it is different. So you may still have like, if we say that a natural stone,
Yes.
within natural stone you may have one or two options like whether
Yes.
Italian marble versus
Yes.
Ambali versus full body modified versus non-modified. So eventually it's a flooring work and the labor is still the same.
Yeah.
But then
It's just
that's
the-
something which is given, so you cannot go out of that.
Yeah.
You still have to think.
I would argue that even if you give only the structure, there's only certain limit of flexibility that can be achieved in these plans. I mean, you can't really do anything. People usually, even if they don't take the walls, they make walls at the same place, only with different widths or something like that. Is it only a sense of ownership of doing your own thing, or making it customized for your own self that brings this idea? Because you see the flats are similar in a way, though everyone has built it with a different
Yeah.
interior designer. There's the
Yeah.
same sense of the room, the bathroom is up fixed, like
Yes.
the flexibility ka scale is
Yeah, it is
limited.
fairly limited. You're
So
right.
then what makes people do it for this?
No, but you might have only seen examples जिसमें और पहले से यूनिट तो डिजाइन कर ही दिए होंगे, फिर वो वॉल्स तोड़ के वापस बनाए होंगे. You have not seen an example where खाली floor plate is given and then people have made their homes.
You see the exteriors are also not fixed.
ठीक है, even if it is exteriors, but the floor plate is completely empty, then you will see major differences in the units, is what I'm saying. What she is talking about is like normal.
You got a plan. You got a house and you broke it.
Yeah.
No, it would be interesting to study how much variation you can achieve, say, in a small apartment of 60-70 square meters versus 100 square meters versus 120 and 150 and above. Because beyond a certain scale, the different interior designers, some family might say we want a large living dining, or might say we want a second family room while doing the interiors. But if it's a tight 80 square meter apartment or 65-70 square meter apartment, then maybe there isn't much you can. So with the size of the apartment also, your potential for doing this flexible plan might vary widely. Unless someone wants a studio apartment, that's a unique situation. Even in a 80-70 square meters, if someone comes and says, I don't want a bedroom at all, give me one large, like the New York studio loft with just toilet and open kitchen, that is possible even in a small apartment. But otherwise, most people still want private bedrooms. So that will be minimum some size. So then all you're left to play with is the living, dining, kitchen, and maybe the exact size of the
And arrangement of blocks.
arrangement of